If anyone has a mask and would like to speak, they can come up and speak. You don't have a mask on. I'm going to ask you to be respectful.
Your policy has to line up with law.
No,
and this is sad attempt at your attempt to control.
Do you adhere to city council policies?
My name is Carissa Clifford, and I'm a
afraid
resident
that we
of Greenfield.
can't hear your comment as you do not have a mask on. I appreciate that you're
regarding the vaccine passport, which was intended to be a standing policy in Boston.
The chair,
quote,
the chair identifies who is able to
Mayor
speak.
Wu.
okay, we're gonna stop public comment at this point.
Richard C. Chamber files federal lawsuit. February 18th regarding the vaccine passport, which was intended to be a standing policy in Boston.
I move that we take a 5-minute recess.
Quote,
Yes.
Mayor Wu.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess.
5 hours after constitutional attorney Richard C. Chamber
I'll ask
files
you to be
federal
respectful
quote.
of the meeting that's in process.
No, stop.
I have not
I'm
once
giving my
been
comment.
disrespectful of you.
Policy has to follow in line with the law.
I would ask you to
do
put a
not
mask
have
on
the
if you're
law.
going to comment.
It's not, you don't, let go of some of your power and control.
Can I have a
It's
second on my motion?
Your
Second.
policy has to be in line with the law. I'm sorry, Amy. You probably will end this next week. This is ridiculous. You're being ridiculous. Let me continue. I'm going to start my 3 minutes over. Good evening. My name is Carissa Clifford, and I'm a resident of Greenfield. February 18th, 2022, regarding the vaccine passport, which was intended to be the standing policy in Boston. Quote, Boston Mayor Wu caves 5 hours after constitutional attorney Richard C. Chamber Jr. files federal lawsuit, end quote. First, let me say that a friend of mine who works with that attorney informed me that you, as school committee members, actually have no legal authority to impose a mask or vaccine mandate. She gave me the law number and chapter that's being cited incorrectly and giving you the authority, hence the suit was filed against Mayor Wu. It's section MGL section 111, chapter 30 and 31. Maybe you believe you have the authority because you're viewing the mandate as a policy, but policy has to be in line with the law. I'm not even sure you have the ability to set policy, not because you shouldn't, but because you've abdicated your authority to the NGOs and the unions. One of your committee members said as much in a letter to a resident who asked about ending the mask policy. She said, oh, if it were only that simple, there are hundreds of people involved in the decision process. That may sound normal to you, but it's absolutely terrifying to me. Union leaders, NGOs, and non-governmental organizations have more authority to determine how the Greenfield school system is going to operate than you, whom we elected. You may have willingly or maybe unwittingly handed over your power to them, and that's not going to work for this. In my last statement, I asked you to stand up to the powers that be. We need you to be strong. Stop kowtowing to the unions and NGOs. They don't care about you, and they don't care about our children. Money, power, and control is the name of the game. Governments, education unions, and NGOs are so power hungry that they've spent untold amount of money on attorneys to add, change, or omit words in the written policies in order to convince you and even the general public that they have the legal authority to vaccinate us. State leaders have given a little leeway by saying after X month you can decide how much longer it lasts to give you some semblance of power. And apparently that is important to you to hold on very tightly to. You can't point to a law that says anyone has the right to make anyone else wear a mask or take any type of medication or vaccine because there is no law. You're getting away with it right now because people up until recently in Massachusetts haven't been challenging it. But now the winds of change are blowing, and trust me, we'll all be better in the end because of it. I've run out of time, but I'd be happy to discuss the precedent set by United States Supreme Court in Jacobson v. Massachusetts in 1905. That's the law. Your policy is not the law. That's the law. Thank you for your time.
Oh, gosh, we're cutting off public comment if everyone left is unwilling to wear a mask. We understand what your position is because you refuse to put a mask on. And public comment is now done. It's at the discretion of the chair.
Hello.
And I'm going to ask you to, public comment is finished. I'm going to ask you to leave.
But I still have a voice. So,
I'm going to ask you one more time. I will come and turn the mic off. I'm going to ask you one more time to leave the table. Public comment is at the discretion of the chair, and it is over. We're moving on to the next item on our agenda.
this is our time. Just keep talking.
We welcome your recall effort, sir. I have said that at almost every meeting in 3 years.
Chair of the meeting, after a warning,
The chair
reserves the right to
has
terminate
ended
speech
public
not
comment.
constitutionally protected because it constitutes true threats that are likely to
when
provoke
I
a
get
violent
upset, I'm
reaction
upset.
and cause a breach of peace
You
or
are not my
incitement to
child's
imminent lawless
doctor.
conduct
You
or
are not
contains
licensed to
obscenities.
practice medicine. You have no right.
Do you
to-
follow town council rules, policy?
Excuse me, Mike, let me finish.
Do you follow council policy? We don't. I follow the law. I'm sorry? I follow the law. So, I'm familiar with it.
You are not my child's doctor, and you are not licensed to practice medicine. You have no right to tell me what is best for my
It shows how weak you guys
How
are.
about that 5-minute recess? You do not work for the department.
Call for a 5-minute recess.
Or even our local board of health, for that matter.
So public comment is now ended. At the discretion of the chair, we're going to move on to our next agenda item. I need you to allow us to go on with our meeting. You can leave the table and we need to go on with our meeting. I'm going to ask you one more time. You're interrupting our meeting. We have business to attend to. And we do this portion at the discretion of the chair. I'm going to ask you one more time. You are disrupting a public meeting. I've already ended public comment. Please leave. Please leave the table.
With that said, this is a virus that sickens adults.
I need you to stop and leave the table.
Okay,
Public comment, that's correct. And we have business to do, and we're unable to do our business because you will not leave. I'm going to ask you one more time. Public comment has ended. You can get up and leave.
you're right, I can. But I won't, because you need to hear what I have to say.
Sir? Public comment is at the discretion of the chair and not required at any meeting. Please leave. Please leave.
Per school committee
Please
policy,
leave.
PEDH, public comment will be governed by the following rules. Topics for discussion should be limited to those within the school committee's scope of authority. The chair of the meeting, after a warning, reserves the right to terminate speech which is not constitutionally protected because it constitutes true threats that are likely to provoke a violent reaction and cause a breach of the peace or incitement to imminent lawless conduct or contains obscenities. We've already been threatened by a person who is sitting at this table. But you are not.
You are not operating within our rules. Public comment has
We have
ended.
a policy.
Please leave the table. Please leave the table because public comment has ended. I'm not sure how many different ways I can ask you to leave. Can I have a motion again for a 5-minute recess?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any abstentions? Any objections? We're recessed for 5 minutes. Please turn your microphones off.